Hi, good morning. We're going to be working on a little Smartdoll top. As you can see, it is actually a two-piece I made, but I think we'll do the top, and then if everybody wants me to do it, I will do the hat as well. It's a little bit similar to a hat I've done before, but we are working in a 4-ply yarn today, so it's a little bit finer. This gorgeous yarn, I think, is so pretty. It's called Sugar and Spice, and it's from Attic Spin Dye. I will actually pop a link in for you if you would like to look at their yarns. Now, these are artisan yarns, so when they're gone, basically. They do a colour range, and there's always going to be a slight difference, obviously, even if they try to reproduce it. So it's a great way of having a little bit of individuality to your work. We're going to be using a 3mm crochet hook. I've just got my needle and a stitch marker. Don't really need a stitch marker, but it's there anyway. And I can use my yarn ball, because with these they do come in long sort of skeins, so you do have to wind them up, but then that's perfect for the yarn ball, so it stops it rolling about a little bit. So we're going to be working on that. I've got Hazel here helping me. As I mentioned, I did do the hat and top tonight, so we'll have a little look at the top. You can see, can't you, what they are? They are granny squares, and we have a little bit of a fastener there at the back. So I had a little play around with that. So I'm actually going to sort of do it bit by bit. We have 5 granny squares in total, so we will do them and then I will show you. It's the construction that is probably the oddest bit rather than the granny squares. That's the easy bit. So we're going to get on with it. I'm going to move Hazel to one side over there, missus, and I will move my yarn ball slightly because I don't need it there, and let's get going. This is an absolutely beautiful yarn. I love 4-ply. I know a lot of my tutorials are double knit. I do that predominantly because I think double knit is a yarn that nearly everybody has. Not everybody wants to sort of buy a 4-ply. Basic 4-plies are quite a nice price, but obviously as soon as you get to something a little bit more artisan, it costs a little bit more, but my is worth it. Absolutely love these, and I get so much out of them for the dolls as well. So we're going to start with my granny square. Please remember I'm using UK terms, so if that's something you're not sure about, just give it a little check up. If you go on Google, there's like a conversion chart, and it's quite easy to work out that way. So we have a slip knot on the hook, winding my yarn around my hands as always, and I'm going to start with 4 chain, which does seem a little bit small for a granny square, but we need it tight. So we have 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now I'm going to slip stitch join. As I said, this looks tight because this is to form a loop, and you need to be working in that loop. So if that 4 is a little bit tight for you, you could pop 5 in. You could even maybe go up to 6 if you really struggled. So I'm being very conscious. Now if I can hold it, I'm just going to get my needle. That is the hole there, and we need to be aware of that when we're doing this slip stitch. So we slip stitch, because it's very easy. I'll hold it again. It's very easy to go in the wrong one, because that one's the one that looks like you should be doing it, and that is not the one you want. It's the one here where we've joined it all up together, which is in there. As soon as you've done your first one, you're okay. So from there, I'm going to do 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3. Now these are going to be trebles, so yarn round into the right part of the hole. You might need to fiddle about to look for it. Grab the yarn, pull it through 2 and pull it through 2. That is our treble. I'm going to do the first granny square a little bit slower, but after that I'm going to speed up doing them. I had considered having a pile of them ready, but then I thought, well, some people like to see it more real time, so it's up to you. You might want to skip ahead after we've done that first granny square, but we'll do them all. I will do them all. So that is equivalent to 2 stitches now, because that 3 chain did count as a stitch, remember. So another treble, so yarn round into the same hole, pull it through 2, pull it through 2. That is my first little set of trebles. I'm going to do 2 chain now, 1 and 2. I'm going to do another 3 trebles into the same hole. So yarn round into the hole, pull it through 2, pull it through 2. We need another 2 for this set. So in, pull it through 2, pull it through 2, yarn round, in, pull it through 2, pull it through 2. So that's a second set. So you see we've got 1 set there, 2 chain and another set, 2 more chain, 1, 2, another set of 3. That's 1, 2, 3. So we've got 3 sets now. So 2 chain and another 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. If you hear a funny noise, if you listen, I don't know whether you'll hear it. It's just the yarn running through my ball. It sounds a bit weird, I know. Right, now we have 4 sets of 3s now. So there's 1 set there, 2 set, 3 set, and 4 set. Now these all have 2 chain between them. So you think for me to join up, I should do 2 chain. Yes, on average, there's different ways of doing this, but because I want it quite tight, I'm not going to. I am literally going to slip stitch in the top of that first 3 chain. Make sure you get a good piece there. Don't just get a random piece of yarn. You need 2 pieces. Right, through and through. Now that makes it a little difficult for you to see where the next one is going to be. So it's important that you count it. So we're going to do 3 chain first. 1, 2, and 3. And let's check, because again, I'm just going to pick up that needle. It looks like you should go there, but if you do that, that only leaves 2 there. So you need to make sure there's 3 either side. So we go 1, 2, and 3. It's in there, and then there's 1, 2, and 3 on the other side. So just make sure you know where you're going first. So yarn around the hook, into the space, and treble. Now you've done that, it opens it up, so it's easy enough. So we need another treble, because they're all in little sets of 3s. So that is a set, but we want this to be a corner. So if it's going to be a corner, it has to have the 2 chain between. That is the only time I'm going to pop in a chain for the square. So we do 1, 2, and then another 3 in the same space. So another 3 trebles in that same space. So it's 1, 2, and 3. So that makes our first corner. Now obviously we need another 4 because we're a square in this particular situation. I know that sounds a bit obvious, I've just knocked the camera then, didn't I? But you know, you can have granny all sorts of things, hexagons, and you can add in lots of different corners. But so this is a granny square though. So I'm not going to chain, I'm going to jump to the next hole and do 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. 2 chain because it's a corner. 1 and 2, and another 3 trebles into the same space. 1, 2, and 3. So you can see we've got 2 corners now. I'm going to jump straight to the next one. 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. It's a corner, so 2 chain and 3 trebles into the space, same space. 1, 2, and 3. We now have 3 corners, so I need 1 more corner to do. So yarn round and straight into that hole. So 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3 is a corner, so 2 chain, and another 3 into that space. We have 1, 2, and 3. Obviously we're round now, so we need to be doing a slip stitch. Again, I know traditionally there should be chains, etc., but I'm not. I'm just going to go straight into the top of that 3 chain. It's sometimes a little bit hard to find, so just a little bit of fiddling. It's, to be honest, it's a little bit approximate. So you grab, pull through, and pull through. So now we have, as you can see, a nice little square. So we need another round. There is only 1 more round, so you see how quick they are. We're going to do 3 chain. Each round always starts with 3 chain. That counts as our first treble. Now you can see the hole directly below, and that is where we're going in this space. 2 trebles. 1 and 2. So that is not a corner. These are your corners. That's a side. So if it's a side, we're only going to do 3 trebles. My basic rule for a granny square is if it's a side, it's just 3 trebles. If it's a corner, it's 3 trebles, X amount of chain, 3 trebles. That chain amount does change depending on what you're making. So off we go into the first corner. So it's a corner, so we have 3 trebles. 1, 2 and 3, 2 chain, into the corner, 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3. So you can see our corner shape coming there. The next one isn't a corner, it's a side, so you can see it here. So that means it only has 3 trebles. 1, 2 and 3. Next one is a corner, so it's a set of 3 trebles, 2 chain and 3 trebles. So that's 2 trebles, that's 3, 2 chain and 3 trebles. 1, 2 and 3. And the yarn's catching now. I think I need a slightly larger yarn ball. This is beautiful for the little skeins, but it's a little bit small for the larger balls. Right, a side one, so it's just 3 trebles into that space. 1, 2 and 3. Next corner, 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles. We have 1, 2, 3, 2 chain and 3 trebles back in the same space. 1, 2, 3. So we have 4 corners now. So next one's a side, so just 3 trebles into the space. We have 1, 2, 3. One more corner to do. 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3, 2 chain and 3 trebles in the same space. 1, 2 and 3, and just a slip stitch join in the top of the 3 first chain. Now we're 1 more round, that's all that's left, and it's a double crochet round, and the reason I'm doing that is because I need to join these squares. I've actually crocheted them together, but either you crochet them or sew them together. It is best if you have a double crochet round. So I'm going to do 1 chain, and then all the way around I'm going to do a double crochet. So that's my first one, but you will see I'm a little bit naughty, so just watch what I do a second. So I have 1, but then instead of the stitch here at the top, I'm going to go into the space because I think it looks neater. Yep, and then I will go in the next 2. And then because it's a corner, I need 3 stitches. 1, 2 and 3. Now I'm going to do 2 and then 1 in the space. Just watch. So as much as I say in the top of each treble, I'm not really. I do the top of 2 of them. Oh, I'll do it if I can not drop them. The top of 2 of them, I nearly did it wrong then. But then 1 into the space. You can see there is the treble there, top of the treble, but I just think it looks neater if you go into the space. Up to you, however you prefer. So I'm going to do a 2. And we're on a corner now, so I have to do 3 anyway. 1, 2 and 3. In 2 of the top trebles, still going in the same stitches, it's just positioning into the hole as a treble. I go into the top of 2 of them, and then I go into the space. Into 2 of them, and then we have a corner, so I need 3. 1, 2 and 3. Top of 2 of them, into the space. In a pattern I will write just 1 double crochet into each stitch apart from the corners, which is 3 obviously. But I'm just showing you this option because it's how I personally do it. Everybody will have a different way of doing it. So top of the do, we've got a corner coming up, so 3. 1, 2 and 3. Top of 2, 1 and 2, and top of the first one, slip stitch, and you have done. I'll tell you what I haven't got is a pair of scissors, so I've had to break that, never mind. So pull the yarn through and it is fastened off. Now that is what we need times 5. So if you're wanting to pause the video now and get on with the times 5 and come back to me, by all means, because I will warn you, I am going to speed up now. If you were a beginner, I would recommend you have a go at a granny square in a double knit yarn. Make sure you're comfortable with the granny square. It's only a quick one. I know it's took longer to do that first one, but it is quite a quick granny square. But I'd recommend you do have a little go. If you're happy with it, jump straight into the 4-ply version, and then, like I say, you can just do your 5 and then come back to my video. But if you'd like to see what I'm doing, by all means stay with me. So I'm going to do a slip knot. I'm going to do 4 chain. This is going to be quicker. 1, 2, 3 and 4 into the first one. Pull it through. It says me as it takes longer to do it, and pull it through again. 3 chain. 1, 2 and 3 into the hole. 1 treble and 2 trebles. You watch, because I'm trying to speed up, I'm not going to be able to, it'll keep going wrong. Right, 2 chain, 3 trebles into the space. This is going to be a medium speed one because I'm really still talking. 2 and 3, 2 chain. Those 2 chains are where your corners are going to be. 3 trebles. 1, 2 and 3, 2 chain, 3 trebles. 1, 2 and 3. Right, so I've got, how many have I got? 1, 2, 3 and 4, so I'm happy with that. Top of the 3 chain we started with, and try not to catch it, there we go, and slip stitch through. So that gives me my 4 corners. So I can go now with 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3, make sure I get the right space, and we have 2 more trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles. So it's a 3, 2 and a 3. Yep, straight into the next corner, because the only time we do chain is in a corner. So we have 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles. You can see I'm speeding up a little bit now. Next corner, 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles. 1, 2 and 3. Next corner, 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3, 2 chain, 3 trebles. 1, 2 and 3. Okay, slip stitch join in the top of that 3 chain, push it through, make sure it's a tight connection, and pull it through. 3 chain, 2 and 3, and we're starting another round. Now, oh, I keep knocking this. I've tried a different system of holding my camera so it goes over me, but the thing is that it's to this side this time, which I'm not used to it being there, so I'm catching it this side instead of this side. I'll get used to it. I do think it gives a better angle though, but obviously I can't 100% see it, so I'm looking forward to see it on the computer to see what it looks like. Now, some people do say that my crochet is too fast. I admit sometimes I do go a little bit fast, but I do recommend, obviously you can slow down, stop, start. Beauty of YouTube, that is why it works great. But I am now going to deliberately go at a normal speed, so it will go faster. But basically, as I say, just watch the first bit and do that times 5 and come back to me, because you don't want to watch me doing the same thing 5 times. So off we go. So that is a side, so it has just one set of 3. We have a corner, which is one set of 3, 2 chain, and one set of 3. 1, 2, 3. This is a side, so just one set of 3. 1, 2, 3. It's a corner. We have not one because I dropped it. Oh dear. We have 1, 2, 3, 2, so 2 chain and 3 in the same space. 1, 2, 3, side, just 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. We have a corner, which is a 3, a 2, and a 3. So 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. A side, just 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. And a corner. 1, 2, 3, 2 chain. 1, 2, and 3. And slip stitch join in the top of the 3 chain. 1 chain, we just a double crochet in each one. Remember, I just sort of miss one, so one of them's in a space rather than an actual top of a stitch. So that one's going to be my space. Then I'm going to do in the next 2. I have a corner, so I need 3. 1, 2, and 3. We have a 2, a space, a 2, a space, and all the way around. We've got another corner, so I need a 3. 1, 2, and 3. We have 2. We have a tangle that didn't get caught, a space, a 2. So it's still 3 stitches, it's just there's 2 in a space, that's all. So 1 and 2, we have a corner, 1, 2, and 3. We have a 2. You know, I thought my camera moved then, and I know I didn't knock it. I could have sworn it sort of moved. I think it's because of the angle it's at, because I'm looking at it a little bit weird. So I'll get used to it. I think it's going to work better. I hope it's going to work better. And we have a space, we have a 2, we have a corner, so 1, 2, and a 3. We have a 2. And we have, if I can get in that space first, a slip stitch join. There we go. And I've still not got my scissors, so I'm just breaking the yarn. Thank goodness it is 4-ply and it's not breaking my fingers. So I now have 2 of our squares. I may regret making the 5 for you. I should have done them in advance, I think. I really should. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it here. I'm going to make you the 5 and then we're going to look at it. So I will be back in a second. Obviously, it takes me longer than that, but on the video, it's going to look like a second. Otherwise, you've got to sit and watch me make 5. And I think that's going to take a little bit too long because we do have to deal with the actual construction of the top. So while you pause me or whatever you're doing, I'll let you get on with your 5 and I'll see you in a second. Ta-da! As if by magic, we now have 5 granny squares. I've also taken the one off Hazel so I can show you its shape. I've added a few buttons here and I finally found my scissors, so that is good. There is one I haven't sewn up yet because I just wanted to go through that with you. I'm sure you know how to sew in all your ends. I have sewn in the ends of the other 4. So I will just go through this one. So really, when it's a granny square, I basically just go under all these in the centre. Now also, if your centre is a little bit big, if the hole in the middle is a little bit big, this is a good way of tightening it up. It sort of makes it a little bit more solid. So I'm going to go round a couple of times and that should about do. Make sure it's nice and tight before we cut it off. don't want anything coming undone. And then there's just the one on the side. Now, as I say, everyone will have their own way of sewing up. It's just easier to get rid of all the ends before you actually go any further. So I took that one in there. And then I find if I run along where the double crochets are, it holds it a little bit better. It's sometimes hard to sort of hold your yarn quite well where a treble's concerned, because the stitch itself is looser, so it's not going to sort of hold that spare bit of yarn as well. So there we go, there we go, there we go. So I now have 5 pieces. Now if you prefer to make sure these are nice and flat, sometimes I've even popped them in books and sort of next day they're all nice and flat, so they're a little bit easier to work with, but I don't generally worry about it. Now this is the top of her. As you can see, it sort of gets a little bit of shape because of how I pulled it together there. But it is quite simple. You can see the layout. So basically, we have 2 for the bust area. We have 1 in the middle. And then we're going to have 1 either side there. But it's deciding how you want to do that. Now, you can stitch along, 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 and along. It's quite good to sort of stitch. Let me do that without my finger. So I would go down, up, down and up if it was stitched. Now this is a crocheted edge. Now when you're doing this edge, it depends on which angle you're holding your work, because it will make it different. I actually held it with the bust area up from there. So I'm going to actually stitch just a tiny stitch here to hold them together, because it does make it easier if they're already in place. You can just crochet along, it is up to you. So I've just got a bit of yarn, same colour yarn of course, and we will stitch between sort of so we take the 2 sides, I'm going to fold them over and I'm going to sew at the back, because I don't want to sew at the front of them. I'm just going to do a few stitches, that's all it is. So I'm going to knot that first because it holds it in place. It's going to be a hard one, this, to describe in a pattern. The granny square's the easy bit, it's the describing on how to put it together. And I'm just going to stitch together, taking up both pieces of the chain, just maybe 3 should be enough, and do a knot. The only thing is that gives us a couple more ends to sew in there, so I need to sew those in as well. You can crochet them while you're crocheting, you can pick them up if you want, but I think it's easy just to get them out of the way. So that's one side, clip. So in the other side, I mean each end of these have started with a knot, so they're not, it isn't going anywhere. It's just best to get rid of all the bits and bobs. I hope this is going to make sense. So that is just that one, and clip. I'm just grabbing a tissue. This hay fever is definitely taking grip. So that's the bust area. Yep. So as I say, I want that at the bottom and there and there. So I'm going to start at this end. My yarn just off the ball. And I'm going to pick up my first 2, which is of these 2 here. I will do a diagram, I think, on the pattern to show you how to lay it out. So I'm going to pick these 2 up. Because it's crochet on the top of it, it is sort of wrong sides together. I'm going to pick up a corner on one, pick up the corner on the other one. You can see that. And then we're going to crochet along the top of that. So I've done a chain first, then I'm going to go into the stitch. So I'm going to just match them up edge to edge, crocheting them together. If you don't like this method, just stitch it. It's just as easy. I just quite like the effect that crocheting 2 pieces of crochet together do. That's all. Personal choice. Almost at the corner, make sure they are going to match. Make sure you do that corner one. Remember we did 3 double crochets in those corners, so it's that middle one that you want to stop at. So let's have a look. So you can see we've got that one. So now let's move those out of the way. We need to pull in this one. So we're going to go down here now. So find that middle double crochet, pull it through and pull it through. Right, now double crochet all the way along. I love to see blankets when they're crocheted together. I think they look amazing, especially if you've got a contrast colour to actually crochet it together. So make sure they line up. Always double check, because sometimes if you don't do enough stitches at one end, you get to the other end and that side will be longer than the other or something like that. So always check that it's lining up. Usually, because we've done those double crochet stitches, it should line up quite nicely because there's the exact same amount of stitches on each side. Right, let's have a look where we've got to there. Always keep checking, because otherwise you'll start crocheting bits together. Can you see? So now we've come down this one. We now need to go up this one. So fold it together, make sure it's equal, and off you go. Make sure that first one's nice and tight, you don't want a space. This is definitely going to need a diagram, isn't it, for the pattern? The hardest bit about this is putting it together. As I say, perhaps if you've stitched it, it's easier, but just gives another dimension to the work if you actually do the crochet. Right, let's have a look. We're back to another corner. So again, lay it out. Make sure you're going in the right direction. We need one more. So it's going to match up to that side. So it's got to go here. So now we're going down this side. So get the piece lined up. That side's better. That's it. Into the corner one, and off we go again. It's just one double crochet into each side. Well, it's one double crochet full stop, but you're picking up both sides. We're almost there. So I thought it was an odd one, this. It's a very simple sort of design, but it's just odd to describe. So apologies if I haven't described it well enough. It might be worth watching the video first and see what I get up to and then coming back to it. Right, this is going to be my last stitch to make sure I'm right in the corner. Oh, my needle stuck to my scissors because it's magnetised, and pull it through. So let's have a look. Can you see? So now, can you see how this angle sits? But because I wanted it so it showed other way, if you do it that way, then it sort of sticks out more, because I wanted it so you can see the top. If you do it the other way around, it doesn't work like that. So we're now going to sew in 2 more ends. Now this is where the pattern for me changed. I was planning on doing this just like a halter neck, just a simple halter neck, just a strap on all the way around. And then during that time, which is what usually happens when I'm making something, I decide I want it what looks better a different way. So the pattern changed. But it gives you the option to do both, which we will show you on Hazel in a second. So that's one end in. By keeping the ends neat, it makes so much difference. Get rid of ends as you go, says me. When I'm making a blanket, there's like, get to the end of it and I've got about 400 ends to sew in. Not a good thing to do, but we all do it. But this time I'm going to be good, and I'm sewing all my ends in as I go. Right, so top, tummy, sides. So you can see we've got like a bit of a zigzaggy shape there. Now I'm going to bring Hazel in. She's not got her top on now, so I hope that's not going to upset anybody. And I wanted to just show you how it worked. So if you look, you can see how it fits nicely on her. Now originally I just wanted to do just from here to here, just a halter top, which you could do if you want, which gives us sort of the deeper cleavage, rather than I pulled it across and we get this little window area. So it's up to you how you do that. You can just literally chain either side and tie it to the back, which just gives you like a little vest top. That's one way of doing it. Or I'm going to show you the way I did it, which I think gives a little bit more shape to the top. So we're going to move it out the way. Oh, definitely going to have to watch this camera. Keep still, camera. It's a bit bouncier as well on this frame, so when I do knock it, it's like, ooh, I feel a bit seasick like time we've done. Right, so we're going to need to do these chains. Up to you how long you do them. If you're going to be, if you take your doll's head off when you put clothes on, you could just do a single one. You don't have to do a tie, but I don't like to take the heads off, so I don't do it so it's a solid loop. So what am I doing there? What have I done? I don't know. I need a slip knot. And I am going to do here maybe 50 chain, up to you, depends on how much of a bow or a tie you want to the back. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Oh, nearly dropped it. 28, 29, and 30. I'm just looking. I don't know whether I did do 50. No, I probably did. It looks about 50. So we're on 30. We're on 30. It doesn't really matter. You can just work it out approximate. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. We'll do 10 more. 1, 2, 3. Why do I keep dropping it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that is the strap for that side. So again, what I was going to do is I was just going to, I'll crochet into there and then I'll do one for the other side. But I didn't. What I decided to do was join these two together. So we have our 3 in the corner here. I'm picking up the middle one. But then I'm also picking up the middle one on the other side. The yarn is behind. I'm going to pull it through and pull it through and do a double crochet. That's it. I've joined it. I have created that area. So then now I need to do 50 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, this is a boring bit, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, we just got 20 more to do, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 10 more, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49 and 50, yay! And just pull it through to fasten it off. Now I did actually create just like a little tassel here. It's up to you how you do it. You can either sew in this long end all the way up the chain. I do find they have a tendency to come undone if they do that. So I can show you how I did mine, but we'll get the other bit done first. So you can see how we have the shape. Okay, so I'm going to bring Hazel back in without knocking the camera this time. So this is the new one. And you can see how it nicely sort of fits over her bust now. So we get a little bit more shape. Head over there, missus. Now, when I turned it over, I had originally thought I would fasten it like that, which you can do. But what that gives you is sort of more of a straight edge here. But when I started sewing the button on, I sewed one button on. So I sewed a button here and I used that corner as the buttonhole like this. And it's split. And I'm like, well, actually, that looks quite nice like that. And it gives you sort of more of a V shape here. So I think it worked quite well, leaving it just with one button. Now, these are the little buttons I've used. They're just a little mixed bunch that I bought ages ago, and they're quite a nice size for the Smartdoll. You can use smaller, you don't have to use buttons, you could use a press stud, you could use a tie, you could use a ribbon, anything like that at all. But I quite like these buttons. They've got nice cheerful colours and it goes great. So basically I stitched a button on, used the hole, so you don't need a buttonhole, and just fastened it over and allowed that to splay, and I think it worked quite nicely. So let's move that out of the way. Oh, wigs come off now. Let's move that all together. Sometimes it's so much easier to work with the dolls without the wigs, and I do think they look rather cute without the wigs. And of course that would tie around the neck area then. Now I just mentioned what I did at the end here. It's nothing exciting, but it might just, I'm doing it again. The dolls have got such long legs that they're catching it that side. Now I have in the past threaded it through. I'm always worried about it coming undone. So what I did instead, in fact, have I got a little bit where I've, no, I'll have to cut a little bit of yarn off. You don't have to do this, it's just an idea or maybe a method that you could possibly do. So I have just taken a length of yarn. I have picked up the very bottom stitch and just pulled one side through, preferably. So we have 3. So we can make a plait. Now I have a stand for my plait, so this isn't going to work very well. It's always good to have something to hold it there. If you haven't got something to hold it, you won't get a tight plait. But just for an example, I'm just going to do a couple of plaits. You could do really long ones if you want, but I only want to do a couple. Okay, so, and then all I'm going to do is a knot. At the bottom, like that. Cut it off. You can separate this up if you wish. That needle's not going to do it. I'm going to get this one. You can separate up the yarn if you want to make it a slightly sort of fluffier edge. Like this, which means you haven't had to thread it through and there's no risk of it coming undone. So that one's not buttoned, so we're going to put the other one back on her. Carefully take her over here so she's not, there we go, going to catch the camera again. As I mentioned, the little button is just sewn on there and I use that corner as the buttonhole. That works great. Let's tie it at the back. Little bow or a little not too tight knot because you don't want it getting stuck. There we go, and I will turn it over, and there we have probably one of the simplest in this respect tops you can do. It's just the crocheting together, but if you do sew it together, if you don't like crocheting together, the easiest way is to stitch it together, and you won't get this ridge, but you will still get a little top. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it made sense. I've got to now try and write it out so people can get the pattern as well. The pattern I'm going to do is going to be sort of for the top, and then I will do the hat separate. So this is the hat if people sort of, I'm umming and ahhing whether to do it as a tutorial yet, but this is also done in a 4-ply and I think it matches the top quite nicely. It's sort of more of a summer weight sort of slouchy hat rather than a wintry one, so that's why I thought it'd be quite nice. So hope you enjoyed that. Hope you do some tops. If you do some tops, please tag me on. I know some of you are already follow me on my Instagram, same as I follow you back. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, anything that you do, please tag me if you make the top. It's lovely to see that other people have made them as well. If you do enjoy these videos, couldn't think of the word then, please like, subscribe and share, and I hope to see you very soon. I have a dolly video coming up next, which wasn't anticipated, but the parcel came this morning, so I've got to do it, but it won't actually be put up till tomorrow, that one. So I will see you all very soon, and enjoy your crochet. Bye.